I feel like we're on like one of those news shows with, everybody on the split screen, and we should all argue over politics and shit.
Yeah, for sure. We're the expert panel, right?
Right. Talk over each other.
I don't know what kind of a panel we would be good for, but we're definitely good for something.
Oh, I just lost my own picture. Son of it. At least I can see you guys. Oh, I'm back.
That's important. I hope there's some people out there watching, but
no.
Who cares? Cheers.
Okay.
Oh, man, I can't do that. I'm just finishing up my Instagram post here, folks.
I haven't talked to 3 people at one time in 2 weeks, so this feels pretty good.
I suppose. You're hiding out there from your wife. You talk to your dogs like you talk to people, but
yeah, she set me up to the store to go get a bag of ice, so we don't have to, because you can't get fountain drinks filled up now at this gas station. No fountain drinks, no coffee. I don't know. No coffee, no fountain drinks, no ice. So I got a bag of ice in the cooler out in the garage. I go and get the bag of ice, and she says, "Go wash your hands." And I'm like, okay. But I already put the ice bag in the cooler.
Right.
So do you want me to go wash the bag of ice down? She goes, "Yeah, you better do that too." Me and my smart-ass mouth.
Hard to just keep on making more problems for everybody. Mm-hmm. So what kind of questions did you guys get? Did you guys get a bunch of questions put in?
I got questions, yeah.
Did you?
Probably a good way to kick off. I'll let Doug go first if he's got it. I got to get this post up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me kick over.
I like this 4-camera thing. This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one that I think was the most intriguing to me, and I posted it a little bit earlier. So what are some of the best lunches that are good for a hunting vest for an all-day hunt? So what's some good lunches to pack?
Well, Ron wouldn't know about that. He's never taken an all-day hunt in his life. So, like,
not since you've known me, no.
I don't eat lunch. Well, I eat a breakfast and then dinner. But I take some, like, Nature Valley granola bars. Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
I can honestly, I don't think I've ever, to be funny, like Tyler's saying, I don't think I've ever walked through lunch. I don't care when I was your age or my age. I just managed my day to where I'd be back and have my lunch packed at the truck. Now, I'm a big sausage, crackers, and cheese guy. I could live on any kind of summer sausage, any kind of cheese, and any kind of cracker. There's my favorite lunch.
Fair enough.
But I ain't walking in the field with it.
No, but maybe this guy who asked the question, I wonder if he's like a Western hunter, like he gets up in the mountains or something like that. If you're going to go to the mountains, then I could totally see taking something with, whatever it's going to be, granola bars, some sort of
Yeah, I mean, it could be one of them guys from the old days that when we used to talk about getting into a fight and the other guy would say, "Okay, well, let's go. You better pack a lunch." But I suppose if you're going up that way, yeah, you're just going to have to get some of them, those candy bars that they call granola bars.
Nick would probably that guy eats more than me or Ron, so he'd probably be able to tell us a little bit more about a good field lunch.
I've been known to throw a Cliff Bar in the pack, which is one of those crunchy granola-y candy bars that Ron is referring to. But never a bad thing to throw an apple in. But I'm usually grouse hunting, so I expect to be back to the truck like within 2-3 hours. Yeah, 2-3 hours at the most. And I like to have sandwich and chip stuff, back in the cooler, that sort of thing. But I don't carry a whole lot with me typically.
Over in Michigan, the first time I was over there rough grouse hunting with Paul and Craig and Brent and all those guys, we went and made a walk. And Ron, Paul as well as anybody does. He decided to stay back at the truck and cook for everybody, which was nice. And the grouse didn't mind because he wasn't going to shoot any grouse anyways. But we had he had one of those little like a tailgate grill or whatever, and we got back and we had grilled sandwiches and soup and all. It was nice. Like you're wet and cold and rainy and shit outside. That was damn good.
Yeah, I've never had anybody do that for me. I take that back. When I was in New York, at that grouse hunt 2 years ago, one of the guys actually had a little stove and he had some chili. They literally make you. They have little tables and end chairs, and you have a little breakfast or a lunch break. But you end up eating too much, and I don't want to walk anymore.
That's the problem. That's why I'm always I very seldom eat lunch.
Yeah, I can snack my way right through a day and right into beer.
I know. I rode with you.
So
We'd stop at a gas station, and he'd just get like some, what the hell were the little Cheez-Its or whatever the hell you were eating in the pickup.
Oh, yeah, those are good. I don't think they'll go good in the vest, though. Yeah, sorry, we can't help that guy much, I don't think.
No, we're not. Yeah, that wasn't a very good answer. Fire off another one, Doug.
All right, so advice for 2 young guys with young dogs. Limited access to birds in bird country is 3+ hours away.
3 hours away ain't far. Make weekend trips, man. That's not too bad. That's not too far to drive.
Where does he live at?
He didn't say where he lived. He just says he lives 3 hours from bird country.
So is he thinking for hunting or training? Did he say?
Nope. It's just advice for 2 guys and 2 young dogs. So I'm assuming with young dogs, he's probably looking at ways to get his dog into birds, or how does he get his dogs ready for birds if he doesn't have access to them right away?
Oh, right.
Well, we are sitting here talking to Mr. Navhda.
Well,
so find yourself a Navhda chapter close by for training, anyways. Plus, you're going to get a chance to meet up with some other bird hunters that can probably take you under their wing as well.
Yeah, when I joined Navhda, I had a 2-hour drive to Traverse City or a 2-hour drive to Kalamazoo. And that was just for 2 hours of training with some people. So I'm not trying to say we trained me.
It was 2 hours worth of.
Back then, we trained. We just don't anymore.
Okay.
So there's no need. But seriously, I mean, I don't think of 3 hours as a. But, if you live like in New Jersey or you live in Raleigh or something, and 3 hours out of there and some curvy ass roads or a lot of traffic does probably seem pretty daunting.
Sure.
Like, I don't really feel like dealing with it. 3 hours for, Tyler drives an hour to go play pool.
Right. So, literally. An hour each way.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of, you're going to have to just suck it up for the driving part, I think,
Yeah, it certainly makes it tougher. It's not like going out your back door and getting into wild birds. I mean, if it's training season, that's kind of where my mind went right away. I'd probably want to try to get to wild birds once or twice, during that short window that is spring season or something, if you could. But for hunting, I mean, I think most people you got to do what you got to do. And if it's 3 hours, you're going to go 3 hours. But certainly I'd be curious about what are the other areas, you'd be exploring all options within that 3 hour radius to figure out how you can get on birds. But
the last time Ron was up here, and I live in bird country, and we still drove 3 hours a couple times. I remember when we drove down there to Hazen, that was a 3 hour drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive.
We drove from bird country to better bird country. But
and I think the thing that we're missing out on is not always having to be in bird country. There's a ton of preserves and small farms that you can buy birds and take them out to the farms and work dogs that way. So if it's not just getting into wild birds, it's just getting your dog on birds. I think that's important. So just utilizing the Google machine and trying to find preserves around you, I think does make a big help.
Yeah.
Look at Doug firing one off from the back.
Yeah.
Good work, man. We all missed that one.
Ooh, we got bad signal here.
No, Ron,
you guys can hear that signal. Everybody else looks fine.
We can still hear you, Ron.
Really?
Yeah.
The smoke's clouding your
Once again, it's
Wi-Fi.
Should probably go drive to McDonald's and go on their internet, huh?
Were you planning that Ron's low aspect ratio?
What if I open my door? Let me go check.
Logo in there.
Will radio waves go through a door?
Yes. Short answer.
What about a solid lead door, Batman?
I don't know. You might got to look.
Sounds like he just has to pee. That'd be my bet.
He does. So I just looks like Troy Miller just had a question I popped up there for you guys.
Yeah, I see that one. Man, I feel like the wrong guy to ask as far as innovation in dog training. E-collars have certainly helped me a lot. That's for dang sure.
I think this is kind of a loaded question because Troy Miller is the designer and the owner of Perfect Mark Wingers, the new product he just came out with. So
There's your free plug, Troy.
Well, you're the lab retriever guy. You're talking to the other three of us are all pointer guys, so we wouldn't know what any of that is. But I would definitely say two-collar is the most innovative product in dog training that I have. But I haven't seen one of your wingers yet.
He's got it up there. Yeah, that's what his response is.
I'm holding my phone up for a better signal.
We're gonna strap some aluminum foil to your head.
Looks like I'm making the sign of the cross.
You got an aluminum.
It's
like a 10-foil hat.
Careful with that internet. Swinging that internet all over the place.
Oh, this is gonna be a shit show.
It already is.
It wouldn't be any more organized if the four of us were sitting in a bar. I'm telling you right now.
No.
We're a shit show no matter where we are.
You want me to pull up some of my questions?
Let's put it this way. The fact that I can't see you guys, as long as everybody else can see us, at least I can hear you now.
We can see you. I can't believe that you can't see us.
Yeah, I know. That happened the other night, too.
Got a question for you guys. We asked for questions. This is from Tall Kid Gunner. He says, 16 gauge, good or not?
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, come on. Why can't I hear anything?
You can't hear that?
Oh, that's even for you, Ron. That's a softball for you.
Yep.
Can you hear me, Ron?
I can hear Tyler.
See?
Breaker 19, breaker 19.
What was the question, Tyler?
It was he was wondering if 16 gauge is good for anything or not.
No.
I just heard you talking about a 16 on a podcast recently.
Oh, yeah.
Ron
My
owns more
bad.
16 gauges in a gun store.
My bad. I thought you asked me if I needed another beer. No. I think the 16 gauge is like this. You don't need anything more than a 16 gauge. So there. I think it's all you got to do is you might have to hand load a few things if that's why I started making my own shot, because shot was so expensive and 16 gauge shells were so expensive. I started loading my own shells. Yeah.
In the last couple of years now, though, 16 gauges have become a lot more popular with Browning brought out the Sweet 16 again. They kind of reintroduced that in a new gun, which is really nice. And they've started making some over-unders in 16 gauges, not to mention all the old guns you can get. So they've come out with a lot of really good new shells. I will plug a sponsor. Boss Ammo makes some really nice 16 gauge shells, some very nice 16 gauge shells. In fact, I have some purple hulled shells out here just in case Ron does come back up here again. I'm sure that Ron has a sponsor that also makes 16 gauge shells. Backridge, they make 16s, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
And I also know that Federal Premium and Prairie Storm also just came out with a new 16 gauge round as well. So now that they're starting to come out with a lot more options, 16 gauges they're definitely on the way back. But what Ron said with thinking that they're all the gun you'll ever need, I actually think they're too much gun. I'll stick with my 20s, my 28s. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with a 16 is they don't have a 3-inch option like a 20 gauge does.
That's
right.
Or 28 makes 3-inch too.
Yeah. What was that, Tyler?
I said 28 makes a 3-inch shell now too.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But and plus purple hulled shells are just cool.
They are cool.
Oh yeah.
And they're hip too.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, and Nick, I do wear a flatter brim hat when I'm shooting my 16 gauge. Like right now, I'd be going
You can't shoot 16 with that hat.
No, because this is this is 12 gauge hat.
Right. Yeah.
You can close your eyes and kill things with a 12 gauge. We all know that.
Yeah.
I can't kill anything unless it's within range.
I seen you make a shot on a sharptail with your 16 gauge that I still think about every once in a while.
I do
too. That was like
and
a 50-yard crosser. That was a nice shot.
I think about that shot every once in a while, and then I have to look around and see if anybody notices my pants are down around my knees.
I think about that shot, and then I'll drive past the spot where you missed that rooster 3 times when Artie had one pointed or whatever, and I remember that as well. So,
well, see, what I never explained to you is I was trying to train Artie to be steady without always expecting a dead bird.
Well, see, you got to explain these things. I would have got that.
Yeah, I just came up with it, Tyler, if you couldn't tell. What was that other guy's question about the best thing to come up since the e-collar? Oh, here's one. How early would you start using an e-collar on a pup? Not very early at all.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I've been working with Justin just a ton. I'm over there every 2-3 times a week, and that's like one of those tricky. There's no answer for that question.
Yeah,
it's going to be different with every dog.
It's going to be different with every dog, and it's also different with every trainer. Like those trainers that I've interviewed from England, they don't ever introduce an e-collar to a dog. In some cases, ever. So, what we say, how young is a dog? You could probably crate train him and get him collar. You could teach him what the collar means at a young age, but everything's got to be taught by hand, by check cord, and then an e-collar is like a second language. Like if you know English, and then you're going to go to school and you're going to learn Spanish, that's what you got. It's not like you're going to have a better language. It's just another language. But you got to have the basic language down first, which is you, the dog, a check cord, a table, a bench, a barrel, whatever it is. And when that dog's able to retain that kind of training, then you can overlay the collar to the job. So, but there really isn't an age thing in it. I mean, I would stay away from them certainly until they're 6-8 months of age,
Yeah.
But it's just too variable. There's no.
At least, yeah. I've asked that question of many trainers. Sure. I've asked that question of a couple of different trainers, and the answer I always got is that when you start using the e-collar when you need it, like when they start blowing you off at distance, like when they're used to behaving when they're on a check cord, or So I'm double fisting. So I'm celebrating with the coronavirus, and then I also have some vodka in a glass. So there's that. Well, there will be a point though where the dog will figure out as a puppy that if it stays away from you, that it doesn't get disciplined anymore. So like with pointing dogs, once they start getting farther away from you and you're like lose control of the check cord or whatever, when they get big enough to kind of need it is kind of the time to start introducing the e-collar. It'd be the best way I can think to put it, but I've never put it on a dog under 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to come up with a date, don't put it on under 6 months unless you've got professional help.
Right.
Hey, somebody said, is it true that Navhda judges are going to be a lot more strict on steadiness and being fully broke for the UP test? Well, first of it's a UT test for the first thing. So unless he meant UPT and he didn't put the T on it. So he's going to have to redo that question.
Send that question in again there, Jordan.
UT, you corrected it. Or
UT. Yep. I haven't seen any directive that we are going to change or be more strict on anything. We have a standard we set by, and what you'll find, you could find a judge that says, "Oh my God, that was terrible steadiness. That I don't know what you guys are looking at," but and then sometimes that's parking lot talk, and it goes to the next test, and then somebody says, "Oh man, the judges are getting really strict on steadiness." It's all written in our handbook. I have not had any directive from Navhda International that anything is more strict at all. So,
what is a passing score on steadiness in UT?
Oh shoot, I think you can get a 2. No, 3.
What is it?
No, 3.
Okay. What does a 3 look like though? Like if a dog takes a step, kind of a deal?
No. Think of it like, why won't Navhda let pointing labs play? Because they're not. It's not a recognized pointing breed. Just a quick answer to that one, Luke. It's not a recognized pointing breed in Navhda, so we don't let them in. Anyway, to answer Tyler's question, all right, steadiness. It's not. It's a matter of the whole picture of the dog. So if you think of it, if you break it down in 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, a 2 could be 49 or 50% of the work. A 3 could be 51% of the work.
Sure.
So it just takes kind of a trained eye to say, like, that wasn't that bad. Or, you know what? We could have shot a bird over that dog, and the dog was probably still safe. So we don't ever like to get a hook and ladder that says the dog took a step or the dog jumped or it's just case by case. It's almost like the e-collar, case by case. Yeah. Oh, here, somebody answer that one.
Ooh, now there's a question with a question with some meat on it.
Yeah.
If I was gonna hunt nothing but pheasants, seriously, I'd probably have a lab.
Yeah.
Pheasant, especially in North Dakota, pheasants and cattails, that's lab country as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, I would agree with you, Tyler. I don't have a lot of experience with taffy, but as frustrating and as much as I love that bird, I'd rather try to shoot something that was always within range because the dog's in range, and those dogs make them birds fly.
These guys keep on asking questions that, like, Nick, have you ever shot a wild pheasant ever?
Nope.
Me either.
You haven't either, Doug?
No, I tried like hell this year.
You guys got to get out.
Me and Veldman spent a lot of time, or not Vel. We both did. He got his, but I didn't get mine.
Yeah, mine's always. I've just been. I mean, I can go to southern Minnesota and chase them, but it's hard to leave the North Country unless we're buried in snow, kind of thing. But
I'm heading west 100% this year. So whether it's south or north, I'm getting out there this year. So maybe this will be my year.
That's a good question, though. I mean, I keep on.
Hey, Matt.
I got a setter that swims.
No, his setter. His setter.
His
Matt, it's not an option if your dog won't swim because every test has some swimming components. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't join the chapter and experience all the other stuff, but it's like I tell people, we have people, Tyler knows Sean Budd. Sean Budd came to Navhda with a Labrador, and he had a ball with it, So but if you can be in Navhda with a setter that doesn't swim, I just wouldn't suggest taking him to a test.
Right. Each Navhda chapter.
It would be a lot like my 8th grade scores in school. 0.
Yeah, aren't they usually pretty welcoming to like people that just hey, this is what I want to accomplish kind of thing?
You might just throw the dog in the water.
Or
I thought you were not supposed to do that.
Or if you don't want to do that, maybe just get it around other dogs that do swim and see if it'll get competitive. Because that's kind of what happened with mine. Rusty didn't swim for a long time until all of a sudden he kind of got tired of watching everybody else's dogs going out there and fetching birds. So,
yeah, that happens for sure. You've always heard Justin say, "Don't worry about it. Give it a year or two and see if things." A lot of these things just clear up if you don't fuss over them.
Right.
That definitely happened with my setter. He didn't swim for a couple of years, and then we actually my parents bought a cabin, and we started going to that cabin, and that's where he learned how to swim. He just took to it. Now he's like a fish.
The other thing too is try to get in the water with them.
Yeah, that helps.
Get a kayak or a canoe, or just go out there wading, especially if it's nice out during the summertime. A lot of it's like my setters, they want to be with me, and I know that that's not all dogs, but if you get out there in chest deep water and you stand there, a lot of times that dog is eventually it's just going to kind of try to wade out there and get a little bit farther and closer to you just because it likes to be with you. This is a good question too.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any tricks for stopping it. I would guess, this is just my guess, and again, it's like everything. What's he calling hard mouth? He likes to crunch them. Well, if he's just crunching them to kill them, it ain't the end of the world, But if he's tenderizing them,
like eating,
well, not eating them. If he's eating them, you shoot the dog.
Not if you ask Justin. Just keep on letting him eat the birds until he gets sick.
Yeah.
But my bet is that it's a young dog. Would be my bet.
Right, and it could be. People also make a mistake. They hunt their young dog with an older dog. The young dog gets a bird, and now it becomes a keep away thing. And I think half of people's problems are from expecting too much too soon out of their dog, and then their buddy's got to.
Yeah, especially if you haven't been through it a few times, because I know that's that was a challenge. Like where should the expectations be? And then you learn eventually talking to more people, and then you figure it out. But if it's like your first or second time through, I think it's pretty tough.
Sure.
Right. Yeah,
You're asking the right questions, so that's good.
Well,
Yeah.
I kind of asked this question with my little setter CJ last year on one of Ron's question and answers with McGrail. And so I was seeing really hard mouth with play toys, like when she was little, like when she was 4, 5, 6 months old. Like she would start like really chomping on some of the things, and Justin's advice was take the damn toys away. Like,
Yeah.
don't let her do that no more, because you're just gonna like that's a good place to start. But it's like the first year she crunched a couple birds, but I mean never bad enough to like leave like teeth marks in the flesh, but she would occasionally like. So what I think of hardmouth is there's dogs that'll actually like leave like holes in the meat, and then there's dogs that'll just crunch it hard enough just to like squirt the guts out the butt. Which like there's two different things, but they're both hardmouth. And she did the latter a couple times when she was young. She squeezed the guts out of them a couple times, but that was just a puppy being a puppy and not really figuring any, like not knowing what to do just yet. So I kept some birds and I put them in a freezer so they get really hard. And then I'd play fetch with her with those a little bit in the off season. And that seemed to help a little bit. And then plus she just got enough experience where she realized she didn't really have to do that.
Yeah.
And I think if you get to an age, you know,
it's a lot of that stuff. A lot of these things just go away. They really do. I hate to be that simple, but they do go away.
I saw some of that stuff in my setter. He would do like the death grip on it, you know, where he would just clench down on it, and he wasn't tossing it around in his mouth or anything, but he was clamping. And again, I had no idea what to do, and then somebody showed me how to kind of like basically give him a tug on the flank to let him let go. That's how I would get out of that situation. But over time, he just kind of needs on it and doesn't do that anymore.
Right.
A lot of times it's a maturity thing for sure.
And I was going to say,
I've had to show so many people that little, what we call the old twister down on the flank to let a dog let go of something.
Yeah.
And it's almost always at a puppy test.
Yeah.
Puppy doesn't want to let go of it. So, you know, you don't make a big point of it. You give him a little pinch down there in the flank and you know, like you said, Rusty didn't swim for so many years. Nick's dog didn't swim. I had a dog that didn't swim. It's a lot of that just goes away. I'm not saying like obedience stuff, but these natural things that we're seeing, like my buddy's dog doesn't do it. God, I wish mine didn't. Try to relax on some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Doug? We interrupted you like 5 times.
Yeah, it's safe to talk. No,
I can't even hear Doug.
You get past your you're past your first season, you get past the puppy season, and you're still seeing the dog doing that. There's you know, there's always the option of force fetch, and force fetch isn't going to fix.
That's a shame. I can't hear Doug at all.
Yeah,
I can barely hear Nick.
I'm going to go ahead and mute Ron right now because he keeps interrupting me. So Ron's muted now, so we can't hear him.
That won't stop him from talking.
You know, what I would recommend is, you know, you get past the adolescent stage of the dog, and if you don't see it getting better, find a club. There's, you know, AKC, UKC clubs out there that can help you force fetch through that.
I can't hear Doug. I don't mean it because I'm talking over him.
Yeah, and that's because he's muted.
He's not muted anymore.
He's on mute.
God damn it.
Find a club and ask about force fetch. Well, let's move on. Let's see. I don't like that he can unmute himself.
Well, if I can't talk,
Oh, you're back now, buddy. We can hear you.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Oh, I don't have 4 fingers of makers. Nick, I'm sorry. Answering the next question. I'm on a diet, so I'm drinking vodka. I don't know.
Oh, I like
saying.
Hey, what does he mean by
get
EB?
to the
Would that be
EB back
Emmanuel
into the
Breton?
North Woods. EB.
Espanol?
Oh, how you say that, Nick?
Espanol
Espanol Breton?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Northwoods.
Is that the EB?
Right.
Espanol Breton?
That was my guess.
Tyler, is that what you're running with, an EB?
Drinking beer, waiting to get back.
I'm running a fleshing lab on pheasants.
That's the way to go, man. That's on pheasants. I would not say that. Oh, Ted Summers is on. Look at this guy.
Yeah,
we need to have him on here one of these days. He's Oh, leg humpers. Yeah, that's actually wrong. Shit eaters, leg humpers. Yeah, basically.
Definitely had some deer poop when Hartley was young, but again,
Neurotic tendencies that I've ever seen
went away with time.
I've never had a leg humper, but I will tell you that my short hair, Bo, last year when McGrail was up here, he disappeared over top of the hill and he came back like dripping with green cow shit. No kid, like covered. I had to play fetch with him in the lake and throw him in the lake for like an hour to get him even remotely clean enough where I wanted to touch him.
Rolling in it.
He will roll in a turd if he can. But I've never I don't know. I think that I've seen some of my dogs eating poop in the wintertime that everybody likes a poop sickle, it seems like, but during the summer it's not an issue. So
I've avoided that one so far, which is good.
My little female right now is obsessed with you.
Well, Doug's got neurotic dogs. Doug, you have to have something neurotic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my little female is neurotic about eating crap, so I have to basically.
Why can't I hear Doug?
Scope out the field prior to running drills and stuff because she'll
I can't hear Doug at all. Is he talking?
Yeah, I'm muting your ass again.
Doug's talking. I'll put my hand down.
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk to the hand.
There you go.
Mute it. We didn't want to listen to him anyways.
You still can't. You still can't hear. Oh gosh,
that's unfortunate.
They do make some stuff that you can put in food though, as well. That apparently makes it taste less like poop, so they won't like it. I don't know.
That's only for eating their own poop.
Yeah, well, or like I got 3 dogs, so I don't think they're real particular whose poop they're eating in the wintertime, but occasionally you'll look outside and they're munching on a frozen Tootsie Roll. But
yeah. Hey, Tyler says, does playing with ropes and toys inside make it harder for fetching and dropping? Yeah, anything you're doing in the house, the dog thinks is 100% correct. So it is going to make it's going to make the whole process a little harder. But it's not the end of the world. It's not
the end of the world. But yeah, that they're gonna.
If you really want
any activity you do with them, they're gonna. Next time you pull something out or whatever, they might have a tendency to snap back to that. I mean, I don't do a lot of that, but it's not really I don't think I'm avoiding some big train wreck either,
I've started using I do have some ropes in the house, but deer antlers. They're not going to get any so like the one thing that I would say do not let them use, or at least some dogs, tennis balls. Tennis balls, a lot of those dogs, they will start like
chewing on it,
crunching on them like that until they can get them to pop. And I think that can create problems with hard mouth down the road. But if you use stuff, I mean, all dogs are going to chew. So if you don't provide them with something, they're going to end up chewing on something they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So deer antlers is a pretty nice. That's a pretty nice compromise.
Yeah. Hello from the pheasant capital of Michigan, Detroit.
Shooting a lot of pheasants over there in the Motor City, are you, Scott?
No, but they do take out a few windshields, I hear.
Really?
Yeah, they're everywhere down there.
Yeah. There's a lot of pheasants in Detroit.
In the city of Detroit, yeah.
Oh, here's one. My GPS. My GPS won't swim either. It sinks. My GPS will not swim if I take him to the burning water. All of a sudden, water's not an issue.
That's like a motivation thing. It's like when he wants to.
Yeah. Right, yeah. He's got bird desire, and I remember a judge one time was running his dog, and he told us, he said, my dog's not going to go in the water for a bumper, so I'm just going to take the 2. It's going to go in for a bird. Again, probably a puppy thing, more than likely.
I had my first setter, Ace. I shot this rooster on the other side of a creek, and that dog swam across that creek, went over there and picked up the bird, and then he looked back at me like, how in the hell do I get back over to you? He didn't pay any attention to how he got there initially, but he just went and got it. It was just instinct. And eventually, with enough coaxing, he did swim back across to me, but it does happen. Ron, how did you get Bravo to swim down there at his UPT test?
I gently placed my finger in his rectum. But I was
that'll work.
I was very discreet about it.
Yeah, an interesting technique.
Well, I grabbed the base of his tail without looking like I pushed him, and I gave him just a little nudge on his anus.
And he lurched forward.
He lurched forward, and he figured, well, as long as I'm wet, I might as well swim out and get it. Yeah. And this dog loves water. He just didn't want to be tested. Hey, what this one is, do you guys follow a flush rule, as in you put a limit on how many times you flush a bird? That's another weird one because, you know, you're going to chase a woodcock sometimes, but I don't have a rule as to how many times. And a grouse maybe once in a while. Pheasants, it's foolish unless you can see the next fence row they landed in.
Yep.
And then with Tyler, you know, you chase them damn huns, until the end of the world.
Same with sharptails. The one bird that I would put a limit on is going to be quail, depending on where you're at. But like birds late in the night when it's cold outside, or Mearns quail down in Arizona, you could chase Mearns quail enough where you could wipe out a covey. So we don't have a limit on how many times we flush them. We have a limit on how many birds we shoot is the limit that we work with.
Yeah, I don't have a specific rule on that. I mean, it kind of depends on how the day is going, you know. Like I don't prefer to chase after one bird. It's almost like a little bit of the excitement and the adventure is gone. But if it's been a long day or something, and that's the last bird that you saw, you know, I might go after him once or twice. But there's gonna very quickly come a time where I say this: if he beats me twice, you know, once or twice, like that's enough. I'm not gonna chase him.
I chased a covey of huns one time through 7 jumps, and the time that Ron was with me, I think we chased him through 5 or 6.
At least 5, I think. 5
that
times.
Gets to be, it gets to be real old. But
it gets to not feel like it doesn't feel like hunting after a while.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not.
It feels like
you're chasing them.
Yeah. You're just kind of on a seek and destroy mission. This guy wants to know. GPS pointed woodcock first season, consistently bumped them last season. I wouldn't say more pigeons. I would say probably Stuart Smith says, get another beer. I got one, Stuart. They're right here. Right there.
You keep on calling them GPSs.
I know, but I started drinking early. Look at somebody said, poor Doug. I wish I could hear Doug.
I think Doug wishes you could hear him too, because every time he starts talking, I can't hear Doug.
Here's what's going to happen. We're just going to do this.
All right. For the next 2 minutes, I'm going to say nothing.
Bullshit.
I want to hear Doug.
We jumped over the guy about it was a serious question about the GSP.
I'll go back to it.
He pointed. I've seen. Well, I guess I should say I've seen. You know, some dogs. They talk about like the second season. They kind of get a little bit more of their own head, and they get a little bit. They're more bold and they're confident. So he's moving in on those birds and he's bumping them. I mean, he showed you that he had potential to smell birds and point them the first season. So if he's bumping them the second season, it might be, you know, some steadiness work. But like Ron said, it's not just necessarily more pigeons, but you definitely have an issue where the dog is, if you can see what's happening and you know that he's getting too close to those birds and he's taking them out, then it's a steadiness or a stop to flush kind of an issue at that point.
Are you putting them at the best advantage?
Yeah, it's a lot of maturity, and people forget that they make a lot of throughout the year. They're trying to do stuff with planted birds, and if you don't know how to plant birds and how to use a releaser, you're not fixing anything on the wild bird side of things. But I don't know if between year 1 and year 2 he tried to do any training, because typically a dog would get better unless you gave him some opportunities to catch a bird. And now it's season. He's like, boy, that was awful fun catching a chucker or a quail.
Or we're potentially maybe shooting some birds that the dog bumped or something. I'm definitely not saying that he did that, but you know that does.
I sure did.
Yeah.
But like Rusty's first year, that dog, I got GoPro videos of him being so steady at a year old that he would let a lab get in front of him and flush a pheasant. That dog would not move.
Right.
The second year, that dog, like he literally would run around like this. He was like, nope, I know what I'm doing, Dad. I'm fine. and he would blow a few birds up. And that third year, he really settled down. But my short hair, he did that this year. He was bumping all kinds of sharp tails in the training season in August and early September. And I would just like non-negotiable stop to flush. Like make that dog stand there, watch that bird fly away, and it takes away a lot of that. He doesn't get the reward anymore. Like especially in the training season, like now what we're in, or in the late August, early September out here, you don't have a gun, so you're not tempted to shoot those birds that he does bump. So yeah, I mean, pigeons can work. Pigeons in a launcher can definitely work. They never come back to the ground, and you can control it. So if they do take a step, get them out of there.
Yeah. Hey, this is a question that just came up. I've been running with Justin on woodcock and grouse. In fact, this week. And if you find a bird on a nest, do not go back there. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to hurt anything if you find it once. Just don't go back to that nest, because you don't want that mother, that hen bird, to be wasting energy flying around and keeping your dog could step on the eggs and all that stuff. Most people you can go till April 15th, but you're asking for, put it this way, a week and a half ago, a guy found a woodcock flush from running his dogs, and it already had 3 eggs underneath it. Means it was on its 3rd day of laying eggs. So if you find one on a nest, don't go back there. That's all. That's the best thing you can do.
And if you find one on a nest, basically assume that they're all nesting. Right. So it's a really slippery slope. And Tyler and I talked about this last Sunday, actually, because there's an article on Project Upland that I wrote about running your dog on spring woodcock. And every time we post it, people comment, and it's a big conversation. I mean, I think the key takeaway for people is that woodcocks start nesting really, really fast. And so
now,
the window,
now.
Right now, I mean, very, very fast. Like as soon as the snow melts or you start seeing them, the woodcock are nesting. And if you don't have a steady dog, or you don't have control of the dog, you don't have control of the situation, there's birds everywhere. I mean, it's a slippery slope. And I mean, people have very like wide ranging opinions on it. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know anything about running on woodcock. We don't have them here, but it can't be good for them. You know, I mean, I would stay the hell out of the woods once that starts happening. That's the only thing I know.
I feel like I try to remain pretty objective in most things. So like I try to look at both sides of the coin and think about, I mean, you could say a woodcock doesn't need any more pressure on it. You know, they just done this migration. They're trying to nest. They're trying to breed. They don't need any more pressure. But then the other side of my brain will say, well, me and my bird dog are the least of that woodcock's worries. Like it's got so many other predators and it's evolved surviving in this. But I do think that it's important, like when you're talking to basically a lot of people, I mean, you can't stress enough, like you need to be very, very careful if you're running your dog on wild birds for a short time in the spring.
So I have a question for you guys. When you guys are over there in the woods, like this time of the year specifically, are there spots that you can go to where you won't run into woodcock, but you can still find grouse, so you can still run your dogs, or is it just kind of best just to stay out of the woods altogether?
Yeah, I know that if I stay up on the higher hills.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Ron. Here, we're gonna do this again. Ready?
Doug's gonna talk, Ron.
We're gonna. Hey, there we go. So if you if I get up into the higher elevations and get off the low areas, he's doing that shit on purpose now.
I think he is. Yeah.
I've got a lot of covers that I won't find any grouse in, or any woodcock in, but I will find grouse. So I think just staying out of the up in the sandier hills is usually where I can go to avoid that.
Yeah, that would say it's not a clear, like a line in the sand, like there's a lot of overlapping cover. So you kind of expect to find both, but I know the snow isn't fully melted here, and we do have woodcock back in some of the spots. So I'm hoping to get out and do some spring training in the woods, but I'll be very mindful because it sounds like the woodcock are wanting to get nesting right away, which that's what they do.
Well, me and my buddy Nate, we just walked from my house here, just straight north of my house, and there's actually a sharp-tailed lek up there, and it's kind of sort of like it's not apples to apples for sure because the sharp-tails aren't nesting yet.
Right.
But we ran 4 dogs across the lek. We moved probably 35, 40 sharp-tails in 3 miles within a mile of my house. And, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, we did get some nice work. We had 4 dogs stacked up on point all at the same time. And, they're not nesting right now, but it's still if you're out there in the springtime, just like Nick said, there's a lot of other shit out there running around too. There's hawks, there's coyotes, there's fox. I mean, like, is 2 guys and a couple dogs running through there once and not killing anything? Is that really bothering them that much? I mean, it's definitely a weird question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you guys have any suggestions on building recall pens or Johnny houses?
Hey, this one with the Johnny house.
He still can't hear me, Kenny.
I don't know if you guys. I had a Johnny house once upon a time, and I didn't have a real lot of luck getting to come. And I built it right by the book. I mean, with a funnel. I bought the funnels. We'd get a few birds to come back. Most of them would hang around the outside. I really can't give him much suggestion. We looked up. I think we paid $3 for some blueprints, and we built it right to the spec. It was great. The birds lived well in it. They could even if something broke into the Johnny house, the way it was built, the predator couldn't get to the birds. It was very safe in that regard. But we did not have a lot of luck getting them to come back into the pen. I mean, they did sometimes, But I will tell you something that I've learned from Justin, and we're going to probably put this out this summer sometime. Justin uses Tennessee Reds and Bob Whites, and he doesn't use any kind of a recall pen. He uses a collar, like a Bob White. They make it. It's a Bob White collar. It's like
an electronic device?
Mm-hmm.
Electronic device, and he broadcast feeds the quail around that collar. And you would not believe the coveys of quail he has by the end of summer. Now, they won't make it through. He's not looking for birds to make it through. He's looking for training. And I'll tell you what, your dogs will bust. These coveys will learn to fly hard and fast. You would not believe it. So he doesn't bother with the Johnny house. He just feeds them in different areas. If you've got the property, and if you got a Johnny house, you must have some property to do it on. So try that.
I've got a couple of them that I've used over the years.
Ron, Doug's talking now.
Yeah, Ron, Doug's talking now.
Okay.
What I found that when I moved in, and
God, I wish I could hear him.
Put funnels on all 4 sides. So I used to have the funnels on just the one side. So putting funnels on all 4 sides, and then when I lowered the funnel down closer to the ground, so they didn't have to jump up at all into it, I did have better success getting them back. I think the other piece is making sure that you hold a couple back. So if we release them all out, maybe you're already doing this, but if you release them all out and you don't have a couple in the pen to call them back, then you're going to put yourself in a disadvantage and hoping that they come back because of shelter and food. But just leaving one male or one female in the house, and then having funnels easily accessible all the way around, I think makes a big difference. I've had hit or miss success with it. I think leaving them in the pen for at least a week before you release them is really important, so they kind of develop that covey mentality. Where if you just buy them and just dump them in there, they really haven't had that opportunity to covey up the way they would if they were out in the wild to rely on each other.
Is he still talking?
Makes sense. He's just getting done.
Yeah.
Fire it off, Ron.
Yeah.
This is actually a question about GPS, not a GSP. So you can.
So out of all the German short hair pointer collars I've used, I'm gonna have to go back to the Garmin because of that 550 plus. It's just so smooth, It's so easy. I don't need to know how many miles and steps, and I don't need to know my dog's heart rate. I love that. And I used the Pathfinders back in the day. Real good peace of mind collar. So those are the only 2 I would go with myself. How about you guys? Which ones would you go with?
Well, the only time I ever use one is if I am going to be hunting rough grouse, or if I'm in like down in Arizona, I used the Pathfinder Mini a little bit. I used it along with a beeper collar, so that way, if for some reason I couldn't find the dog, I could open up the app. And like I agree with what Ron said. The Garmin's are really nice for like a dual purpose training collar / GPS collar. The Pathfinder, especially for the price, I mean, you really can't beat it for the price. And the mapping with Google Maps is great. It's not, and anybody you talk to at Dog Trail will tell you it's not a good training collar because you have to open up an app on your phone. And like when you're trying to train something, you want that instant connection to the dog so you can fix the problem. But with that said, now when I'm hunting, like I said, the only times I use GPS is if I'm going to be in the rough grouse woods over in Michigan or with Nick or someplace like that, or down someplace where I just don't know the country. But here on the prairies, I just use beeper collars.
Yeah.
Yep, I use a GPS collar. I'm hunting in the grouse woods a lot, so I can honestly say I'll probably never hunt without one, just because I like the insurance policy. I bought a Garmin Alpha right when I got my dog, and I actually bought it because it's it was the all-in-one unit. So I was kind of thinking, hey, I'll get this done in one fell swoop. But I've learned a lot about e-collars since, and now I've got a few of them. I have dog trick collars and Garmin collars. I like them both a lot, and I use them both, and they're the two that I would recommend. I like the Garmin Alpha because it does connect to. I have a watch and it connects to that, and now the Alpha kind of just serves as, like, again, my insurance policy. I have that thing tucked away in my vest, and I'll look at my watch, like Ron's got his Instinct there. I'll look at my watch, and I'm using my doctor collar to actually use stim or anything if I need that, but it's mainly for the beeper as well. But
sure,
yeah, they're. I think those are in our opinion. And now Doug, I'll shut up so Doug can answer us because he sells collars. But I will say that those are the only two collars I would use for either job.
Yeah.
But Doug, do you know of any other ones that are rated good? I don't know.
I don't. I think the two brands, the Dogtra and the Garmin, are probably the two best out there for the overall technology. When somebody calls me and asks me, which version do I need to go with? Where are you hunting? How many days a year do you hunt? And what's your budget? Right. So if you're telling me that you're hunting 5 to 6 days a year, the Alpha is a really cool tool, but I'm going to tell you the Pathfinder is probably a better solution for you, or even that Pro 550 Plus that Ron's talking about. If you're out in the prairie, you don't need a full mapping and just a directional, hey, 250 yards that way, and you'll find your dog. But if you're looking at just which brands, I think Dogtra and Garmin kind of own the market on it. There are other, Sport Dog makes one. DT kind of throws their hand in the gate, but if you want just the two companies I would go after, and then obviously budget and how much time you spend in the woods and what you really need out of it would kind of determine the other two.
I just did that podcast with Pete Fisher here. I just uploaded it this last week, and even Pete, he's like, Dog Trick Garmin, like he's like they're both really good products. And Pete's I
am your father.
Ron, you definitely need at least one more of those.
I am your father.
Yeah. Ron, switch to Miller Lite.
I couldn't help
Miller
it.
Lite.
No, you can't. No, he's just getting primed.
Yeah,
got to pump the pump a little bit.
You got another setter
coming. It's on the not yet, but this summer I should have one. J Money Honey, it's good to see you on here again, man.
What was the rest of that question though? He asked about back up one, would you, Doug?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, he said, what are your favorite breeds? Yeah, so I'm a setter guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm always going to be a setter guy, but I will tell you that I got a short hair right now that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And I would say that still, even though I don't own any anymore, I might go back to a German wire hair pointer again someday.
And I like a little bit of crazy, so if I wasn't running labs, I'd probably be an English pointer guy.
Very possible.
Nice.
I like
a little crazy.
The funny thing is that right now, like my buddy Nate's sitting out on the deck right now trying to shoot snow geese, and as I'm sitting here looking out the window, I can see his drop and his English pointer just walking around out here in front of me. So
we haven't heard any shooting yet.
No, I think they kind of skirted me to the south. They may have learned from this morning, but
I wish I had a way to determine how many
Yeah,
miles.
as far as
I
they
put
know,
out.
the house shot him.
Yeah. I think Tyler's gonna top us all if he can tell us how many miles he's walked. But I can say that I went 146 miles in the grouse woods this year, and that doesn't include my basically 6 to 7 day trip out to North Dakota, where I probably would have put on another good 40 to 50 miles. Yeah, but that's a good chunk of miles. But there's people that, Tyler, you probably do double or triple that just because you cover a lot more ground out there and you hunt a lot more days.
I hunted 124 days last year, and I kept track right about 860 miles.
Wow, that's crazy.
The reason why I go through a pair of boots per year. I think about boots the same way I think about tires on a car. Like, you walk as many miles, and if you're fat like I am, you just burn through boots, man. It just happens.
Well, I know I drove 800 miles to go bird hunting.
It didn't take you 124 days, though.
No, hell no.
I'm going to do some quick math here.
Hold
on here. Some on-air math. 860 divided by 124. Yeah, I average about 6.9 miles a day. So that's not really all that much.
Yeah. I'll bet you on a factory floor I walk that all day,
I'm sure you do.
Hey, Matthew's asking, would you test a pointer in a retriever trial? Matthew, that's a little vague.
I'm guessing what the motive is.
Well, I'll tell you.
I don't.
I'll tell you. Craig Jones did. He ran Luke in he had Luke was a master retriever.
Okay, so he's not saying a pointer. I'm thinking of English pointer. That's what we call them, pointers.
Right. But a pointing
breed. Would you test a pointing breed in a retriever trial? Yeah, absolutely. I would. Yeah.
Trots and stuff like and German short hairs. There's a ton of retrieve drive there. Might as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. If there's a venue for it and you got a good retriever out of your versatile dog, go for it.
Just call. So Andrew, call boss. Talk to Brandon. I don't know. He just gave it to me, so I'm thinking that if you just call him, he had a whole stack of them.
They got them for sale on the website.
I'm sure they got them for sale on the website.
Yeah.
If not, they should.
He said they didn't, but I know that Boss is going to be making a decently big push into the upland world this fall. That's why they're paying me. So I don't have very many ducks, but boy, it's a nice hat, and there's some damn good shells. In fact, I shot those 2 snow geese this morning with 20 gauge 5-shot.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Oops, Ron left.
Did he leave, or did you just X him out?
I didn't touch him.
Let's be honest.
I didn't touch him.
Maybe if he comes back in, maybe he can hear you.
Yeah, I didn't. All right, so speaking of labs and pointers, do you guys like running a good flushing lab with a pointer? Would you do that? And if so, pros and cons?
I've never seen it in practice, but I hear it about it. Plenty of people hunting, pointing, and flushing dogs together. I feel like there's a level of teamwork the dogs have to have, and like respect for the other dogs. But
sure,
I haven't seen it in practice, so I can't speak a lot to it. But I feel like I know there's people that do it.
So you guys are watching us on YouTube right now. If you go under my name, Tyler Webster, and look under some of my GoPro videos from years past, there are some videos on there of my setters on point and a lab getting in front of them and flushing the bird. So it can be done. Now, with that said, it can also come unraveled really fast. If there's labs out there that start getting collar wise and they start hearing a beeper collar go off, when they look up and they take off running after to go and flush that bird because they know what's going on, it can get really bad really fast. So it definitely takes some time.
Pike Gear says it works great.
I don't know what Ron's doing.
I have no idea. Ron's frozen.
Travis is asking about
using AT&T.
Travis is asking about public grouse. I actually texted AJ about this today to figure it out. There was absolutely talk about accelerating the release because of the situation that everybody's in, stuck at home. So I know it's being worked on. We were in conversations with backcountry hunters and anglers to make that available. We had a different plan before all this stuff started happening, and that was more of a long-term plan that was going to happen later this year. But we're talking about accelerating that and making it available sooner. So we'll keep you up to date.
All right, so I'm not sure what happened to Ron, but so this question's about dog food. Ron says, I know you've ran ProPlan since you've had dogs, but what's everyone else's favorite and why?
So I also run ProPlan. I've been running ProPlan for a long time, but I will tell you that it doesn't matter so much the brand that you feed. It matters on the quality of the feed.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Project Upland sponsored by Eukanuba. Everything that I've heard about Eukanuba is the same thing. The thing that you're going to want to look for is something with a high protein. Like I use a 30-20 blend in ProPlan. And the way you can tell if it's good food, and this is going to sound really gross, Matt, but like look at the poop. You want like a compact Tootsie Pop, Tootsie Roll kind of a poop. And if you get that, as long as you don't have any runny shits, it's good food.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, Doug and I were talking about this earlier this afternoon, and in the 6 years of my dog's life, I have fed him 3 or 4 different brands of like the premium 30-20 blend that you see a lot of, kind of across the board. And that's been ProPlan. I've fed Kinetic. I've fed Nutrisource. I'm on Eukanuba now for the last year and a half and very happy with it. But I think if you're playing in that space, try it with your dog. And like Tyler said, I mean, that's a pretty good thing. Look for those consistent stools and stuff. And you're watching your dog's weight and you're seeing what's happening. I will say that Hartley's maintains his weight really well eating Eukanuba, especially through last hunting season. But there's some really good foods out there.
I have to cut Rusty and all my dogs back on ProPlan. Like during the hunting season, I mean, you can pretty much, doesn't really matter what kind of a food you feed. If you hunt as many days a year as I do, your dogs are gonna lose weight. I mean, it's just gonna happen. But I mean, I can pretty much feed my dogs during the fall. This time of the year, they get a cup and 3/4 of food a day on that 30-20 Purina ProPlan blend. That's it. Ron, can you hear Doug now?
Can you hear me now? Good.
Is that a yes, or are you just nodding?
He might just be frozen in a loop.
Yeah, this is the Matrix.
I am having real audio problems hearing you guys. I'm getting the gist of it, but I'm guessing it's just my Verizon Wi-Fi internet, Doug.
Get out of here.
Drop a name.
I live in the middle of nowhere internet.
There's more people that live close to me. I live way more in the middle of nowhere than you guys do, and I got great internet. Yeah. I don't know. Ron just doesn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right there. All right. Okay, so let me see. Ron, we all know the millwright's cock. So that must be in regards to the fact that you had your helmet on a little bit ago.
Ron, can you see that? Can you see the question?
Frozen.
Can you hear us?
Hello? All right, so Ron's gone. Want to do a public land hunt in the future. Any advice when taking your dog from hunting only preserves to out west?
I got lots of advice on that. The biggest thing that I see out west when people come from the east is that they freak out when their dogs get more than like 100 yards away from them. Let them run. Like you come out to the west and it's big, wide open country, and we have pointing dogs for a reason. Just let them go. They'll expand as long as they have some sort of manners to them. The only thing that I ever actually expect out of my dogs is that they know how to come back to me if I'm calling them. And then they obviously need to point and be somewhat steady, but let them go. Like if they want to run 200-300 yards away, let them run 200-300 yards away. You can see them. There's nobody else out here hunting.
Yeah. The answer that I was going to give was basically kind of in that same vein. I was just going to say have fun, meaning like I'm getting the impression that this person hasn't done this before. Jordan hasn't done this before. This is his first time. Manage your expectations, because that's what's gonna like determine your satisfaction level. And if your dog hasn't been out there, have fun. Give him the opportunity. Bring him out there. Put him in places where you think there's birds, and be observant. Pay attention. You're going to learn as you go, but have a good time. I mean, that's square one.
The other thing that when Nick was giving his answer, made me think of this. Bring a dog out in shape. because if your dog's not in shape out here, it's going to burn itself up in a day. And anybody, like I hear it all the time, oh, my dog can hunt all day long every day. Can't out here. It's impossible.
Yeah.
My dogs are in as good a shape as any dogs on the planet, and I still have to rotate dogs, and I have to make sure that they're in shape before hunting season, because if they're not, they're going to be on the shelf for days afterwards.
That's a great point, and keep that in mind when you're planning your trip. Like if this person was thinking about going by themselves with one dog, which I don't know if that's the case, but if they were going by themselves with one dog, you're gonna have to manage your expectations a lot. Like that dog's not gonna be able to hunt 5-6 days in a row covering that much ground. So bring a buddy, get some dog power. You can't really have too much dog power when you go west.
Nope. Ron's back. Can you hear anybody? Still can't hear anybody. He's smoking.
Right, so
hey guys, like, I might try to take this out to my truck and see if it gets any better, but I think you guys are all garbly for me. Unfortunately, I'm sure it's me, but we got a little storm coming through here.
We can see you and hear you, but if you can't hear us, try it on your pickup.
All right.
Yeah, can't hear a thing you're saying.
Shoot.
Stuart, I'm in northwest North Dakota. That's where I live.
All right. It looks like we've got caught up on the feed question. I'm going to go back to some of the ones that we got asked earlier, if you guys are cool with that.
Do it.
Sure.
All right. So I think we answered that one. Gun dogging. Gun dog it yourself wants to know why he wasn't invited to the party.
You're going to be invited, Nick.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Is it Nick? Which one is it?
What's that?
It
didn't tell me who it was. Otherwise, I'd have shouted him out. All right, so here's one. Top 3 beers to drink. I need a little excitement in my life. This is from the Driftless Field and Fly. I'm going to give you my top 3. This is the #1 beer ever made.
No kidding. Black
right there.
Goat.
Black Goat.
Never
Right. Is that a dark, heavy beer?
It is a double black ale. So
that sounds thick.
It's probably my next one is going to be the Dirty Bastard, and then I'm going to follow it up with the my classic Budweiser, slumming it. But I drink a lot of whiskey and scotch, so we can't forget that.
Don't steal my answer, Doug.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, I don't know. My favorite probably go-to beer is probably Founders All Day IPA. I really like that Michigan beer. Great balance of being I wouldn't say a budget beer, but it's not ridiculously expensive. It's got great flavor. It's a good IPA. You can drink a bunch of them and manage your alcohol intake a little bit. I'll try lots of stuff. I drink lots of IPAs. I like hazy IPAs, but I'm not really I'm drinking hams right now. Like I've drank plenty of Mick Golden Light hams and Coors in my life too. Like I'm not very picky.
I'm a big PBR fan too, I guess.
My beer palate is not refined at all. It's going to be Miller Lite, Summer Shandy, and some other shitty light beer. Probably like Mick Golden Light's actually pretty good. I don't drink a lot of beer. I drink a lot more bourbon. I like a good Blanton's is very good. And then I like good scotches as well. Glenlivet's, Vittages, stuff like that.
Blue Label.
Yeah, Blue Label's all right. It's kind of charcoaly, but I like it.
Yeah.
If you ever get up here, I have a bottle of Glenmorangie Signet. It's like $250, $750. It's spectacularly good.
I'll give you. I will be that way this year.
So good.
All right. So I'm not gonna be able to any help with this one, but Setter Bloodlines.
With a strong retrieve.
Yep. Tacoma Mountain Sunrise all day long.
For retrieve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a guy out of Pennsylvania by the name of Glenn Fry. He runs in Navhda. He's been on my podcast a couple of years ago. I think it's 2 years ago, probably this month actually. And there's only been 9 versatile champion setters in Navhda in the history of Navhda. He has 7 of them. So all of his bloodlines go back to Tacoma Mountain Sunrise and Grouse Ridge. If you have either of those 2 bloodlines, you're probably going to have some retrieve in your dog.
I've certainly heard those 2 names in the setter world quite a bit. So
Well, that's where Rusty comes from. He's a Grouse Ridge dog.
Yeah, I do know that you have a dog out of Berg Brothers. They're I know that they do select for retrieving. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they do. Yeah. I would absolutely give a plug to Berg Brothers out of Minnesota. Call Ben and talk to him. My little dog CJ, she's a retrieving animal. Rusty is a hard. I literally last year, Rusty and me and some other people, I talked to Rusty like he's a person, but we sat on the bank of a frozen slough and he retrieved 36 ducks, breaking ice on every retrieve out of the water.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He loves retrieving.
So
I've seen him do it.
Pete Keating wants to know which one of us is the hip uplander.
That'd be Nick.
No,
the
hip uplander's not here. I know who it is, but
yeah, you can't talk about that. Come on, don't bring it up.
Well, Nick's the only one out of the three of us that's hip at all, so I'm just going to say it's Nick.
Yeah, I guess I have a 16 gauge and a 28 gauge behind me, so that makes me pretty hip.
He wears a flat brim, and
Ron calls this a flat brim. Like I would consider that's a flat brim.
That's a flat brim.
Yeah, that's a flat brim.
But, there's Onyx a little curve to it.
All right, so best 20 gauge load for early and late season grouse.
Ron, can you hear us?
Can we hear us now?
Yeah, I'm in my truck right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot better. It's like you're in a recording studio.
Can you hear Doug?
Can you hear me now?
I can see Doug. I can even see him.
Cheers, mate. Nice. Cheers, fellas. Social time. We've been going for an hour.
Screw
Cheers.
Corona.
Cheers.
Ron's opening.
Rod's rolling his tobacco.
Hey, I went from 3 packs a day to like 7 cigars. I'm doing good.
It's like the same thing when it comes down to the ratio.
Oh, shut up, Tyler! Shut up.
At least you're not inhaling, man. I'm all for it.
I'm not inhaling.
Just like Bill Clinton didn't inhale, right? But when we first met, do you remember how many of those Swisher Sweets you'd smoke a day?
Yeah, about 2-3 packs.
Seriously.
So how do you keep your dogs in shape in the off season? Bike on a leash, swim on state land, run on state land. So I'll start us off. I do a lot of swimming. I let the dog swim. So we do a lot of across the mark or cross pond drills. So we will set up pile work and have them swim 300-400 yards there and back, just to work them out. And then we do a lot of state land running, a lot of it. So the dogs are getting out 4 or 5 times a week and putting on lots of miles.
Yeah.
Swimming and early morning runs. You can't run during the day; it's too hot. But my dogs, I'll take them up and I'll play fetch with them in the lake for an hour and a half a day, and then just run them in the morning when you can.
Yep, my dogs maintain a pretty good base by just run. We go for I'll hike and he'll just free run. The last couple of years I've started doing the mountain bike thing with a leash. We have some decent trails that are not like technical or anything, and they're wide, so I can bike. And Hartley, he'll be on the leash at some point, and then other times I'll let him free run, and he runs faster when I'm on the bike. So we do that, and then he swims at the cabin. So basically, all 3 things that he mentioned, that's what we do.
What kind of cigars are those, Ron? I couldn't read it.
Those are J&R famous Delicados. This one happens to be a Churchill. That's just a size.
Big long one, yeah.
Big fatty. It's a big fatty. But yeah, J&R famous Delicados or famous any J&R famous in Maduro. Yeah.
All right. So
Looks
RGS is having an online auction for a bunch of awesome stuff. Does anybody know if Pheasant Forever, Quail Forever are doing something similar?
I do not know. I haven't heard. I talked to some of those guys here not very long ago. I had Bob St. Pierre on a podcast here not just a couple weeks ago, but that was kind of before all this started. So I don't know if they're going to do any online stuff or not.
George.
I like. There you go, George. George is awesome. George was up here hunting with me in December. They call him Coach Mackinstash. He's got a fantastic mustache.
Oh yeah, he was watching last week.
Yes, he was. That's
Oh,
Ryan,
dogs,
right?
pads?
Yeah.
That's Ryan. Yeah, that's the guy who's got Xeno. Yeah. I don't, honestly, I don't do anything for my dog's pads, but I don't live in rocky country, so I just don't have a problem with it.
Well, you guys over in Michigan have the easiest soil to run on any place. Like it's
All
just
sand.
sandy. I'm sure Minnesota's probably
the
the
grouse
same.
woods are easy on a dog's feet. I don't do anything in particular other than I mentioned running where I'm riding my mountain bike and Hartley's running with me. We have a pretty good like gravel path where it's actually they just put like some new crushed gravel on there. So the last couple of years he's put quite a few miles on doing that. And again, that's it. But I don't do anything in particular.
So the only time I run into problems with pads, and it's not going to matter. So if you go down to Arizona, you're going to have pad problems just because you're on sharp rocks and it's very abrasive. Like there is a genetic component to tough feet. I swear to God there is. But all my dogs have pretty tough pads, and hunting as much as they do, you go down to Arizona and they're still going to have problems. So just bring some good boots. Bring dog boots.
Yeah. You want to be prepared to manage some injuries and stuff. I see Dave mentioned paw wax. I have Musher Secret. I use
Musher Secret.
I have all that stuff to make sure that I can deal with an issue.
I use the Musher Secret in the snow though, because it keeps them from they don't get those the ice balls in their pads.
Yeah.
But down in the desert, I don't think it helps at all. They
will
make
probably
something.
Just come right off, but you can put it on like at the end of the day. I think it has like a soothing effect and stuff. But yeah,
probably. I do know now. Like Warner Glenn, the famous mountain lion hunter that I know down there, he uses that Tough Foot or Tough Pad or something like that.
I've seen that,
and apparently apparently he says it does work. But just like I run Lewis dog boots. I always have a couple pairs. If you pay attention, like go to oh gosh, I can't even remember the website. Yeah, and they have a tutorial on the proper way to put those boots on. You put them on, they're going to work. And get the vented ones. Make sure you get the vented ones.
I don't use any vests on my dogs, so.
I don't either. I understand why people do, and I think we've probably all have heard the story of a dog impaling itself on a stick. I mean, it's basically.
I don't think it's going to help. I mean, it might, maybe. Right, I mean, they're not made of Kevlar.
It's not a guarantee that your dog's going to be kept safe. You're right, Tyler. Yeah, and I have just not done it. This is not like scientific. This is almost the way that I think about it. But think about like a hockey player, a football player. You get all padded up and you're wearing equipment. Like you are gonna feel like more invincible. And so I almost feel like having the vest not on a dog, he might learn to be a little bit more careful and nimble in the cover. I don't know. I can't say that there's anything behind that, but.
The one thing I will say about a vest, though, is that if you guys are using a vest when it's super cold outside, like if you're hunting in snow because you're thinking it's going to keep your dog warm, actually has the opposite effect. They pack up with snow, and it keeps all that snow right against those dogs' bodies, and they can get hypothermic from wearing a vest. So, like, it's not going to help them. The one thing that it does help with a little bit, if you're hunting when there's just a little bit of skim ice on, it will help their ice breaking ability. It's going to help keep that ice from beating into their chest, but it doesn't keep them any warmer. And I mean, it might help a little bit with some of that stuff, but I don't run a vest.
Is it illegal to let my GSP chase ducks on a small lake?
I don't know.
I bet if it's like in that quiet period, which is essentially like spring to summer, like I'm certain that would be technically illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I'd say call your DNR officer.
Good to see you on here too, though, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Easy Ian. Go ahead.
What's that?
I said easy.
I was going to say, like, it never hurts to call a game warden if you have a question like that.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry.
Easy Ian wants to know, what is the best performing bird dog?
Mine.
Mine.
The answer is
Yep, the answer is
Mine,
always
yeah.
mine.
No answer.
no.
I,
It's like
The
I
one
know
you
what Ron
own,
says.
like Tyler said.
Yeah.
I know what Ron says, and he's 100% right. I've heard Ron say it a million times on his podcast, and I'm going to echo the sentiment. If I was going to get dropped in the Alaskan brush, it'd be a wire hair or a draught.
Yeah.
As far as just always going to be there, super tough, like probably could kill a bear, But
Probably.
as far as just general performing, my dogs, doesn't matter what breed they are.
Best advice is don't brag about your dog until it's dead, though, because it won't ever prove you wrong.
Very good.
All right.
Definitely don't do it when you're
You're by
standing around
yourself.
at the tailgate before you hunt.
All right. So Georgie Z208 wants to know: do you ever have an issue with the trigger guard on a double trigger side by side hitting your middle finger? Yes.
I'm moving my seat down here. I gotta sit up here a little bit. Oh, this is not easy to sit in a truck and do this.
Read that one again, Doug.
Yeah, it says, do you ever have an issue with a trigger guard on a double trigger side by side hitting your middle finger?
So the trigger guard, not the front trigger. The trigger guard's hitting your middle finger. I don't. I've shot quite a few double.
I've had the trigger.
The front trigger, yeah.
I've had the front trigger hit my trigger finger when it went on the recoil, but I've never had the trigger guard.
Yeah. I don't. A lot of times you see like the triggers are kind of supposed to be spaced to not do that, and sometimes I think it's only on really high end guns where the front trigger has like some give forwards to prevent that from happening. But I think that's an individual thing. Like that's like individual person with gun fit and everything. Like how are you gonna? That would be tough. It might happen, but I've never had it happen to me.
Well,
good question, Brian.
I don't know. I got another
Just
pup
get
on
it.
the way, and I haven't figured the answer to that out yet.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than
there's a loaded.
bring the dog home.
There's a loaded question.
As my
I'm
wife
the only
just
one
did
here
me
that's
dirty.
single, so I can't answer.
Anybody
that,
want to tackle that one?
Maybe Tyler has the answer then.
Yeah, just be single.
Well,
then
he
you
doesn't
don't
have a
to
wife.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to throw this one up from our buddy Luke while I look up the next one.
Red dog hunting gun right until it trails a bird, then goes another gear. And yeah, that should
All
happen.
the time. Yep. Like with labs, and I've seen this happen a lot of times. That's when you need to. When you need to have a dog.
I mean, I've seen that happen. Nothing you can do about it.
Well,
So
yes,
would you guys say is that like strictly? I mean, that's only a problem with a flushing dog, right?
I would think.
Yeah. But to his point, I've seen like when you get bird activity, you see it happen. Like the dog steps it up a notch, and I guess to maybe what Ron's getting at is like you can have. I've seen my dog like all of a sudden you get into a bird and then he runs a little bit too hot and maybe bumps the next one. I mean that just happens out there.
And,
That's an experience thing.
yeah, and Lucas, I think we might have talked about this in the past, but it comes down to obedience too. So and the more that you hunt your dog, the more you're going to learn it, and you're going to learn the subtle cues that they have when they start getting birdie, and having that ability to whistle stop a flusher and giving you the opportunity to move forward and push up, and then giving the cast off is going to be your best friend. So I know that you're not running a flusher. I know you're running the pointing lab, but just having that control, and honestly, if it's a pointing lab, the goal is the dog points, and it shouldn't matter if he pushes out in front of you because the dog's going to hold the point. But if he's flushing, having that ability and that steering wheel to sit, the whistle sit them and get your ground is going to be super important. I think it goes back to obedience and just making sure that you have the basics down pat.
I have a question for Ron. If a cop were to pull up behind you right now, would you get a DUI even though you're sitting in your garage?
I'm going to have to get better internet for this next time.
Can't hear anybody at all. Hunting
Actually,
Goldens. I have seen
hunting
a couple
Goldens. Oh God, yes, I
seen a
want a
couple good
hunting Golden.
I've heard decent things. I've never seen it though.
I I've got a buddy who's got
seen
a
it.
couple of them that
It's
do
nice.
really well, and when they do well, they look pretty doing it too.
Well, actually, I'm a few feet out. I'm about. Damn it!
All right, mountain bike with dogs. In that case, I would just say start slow. I mean, and you should start slow with any new activity anyways. You're going to go small doses. I didn't do this for probably the first 3 or 4 years of Hartley's life. We started within the last couple of years, and I think we just we started slow, found a pace. I went to where I felt like it was enough, and now we just kind of have our loops that's like 2 or 3 miles. It's not even a lot. I don't even push it to 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. It's probably 2 or 3 miles, but it's like every day, and that seems to help quite a bit. You can just say that out loud, Tyler.
For those people that can't read,
why don't you take your turn? You go for it.
The seal is broken. I think the important thing to recognize with the young dogs is that growth plates don't fully settle in on a male dog or a female dog. It's different ages, So a female, your growth plates are around 12, 13 months, and your males are that's 16 to 18 months. So that's really a question that I think just talking with your vet, because I think they could probably give you a good idea of when the growth plates are going to be finished on your dog. But having those growth plates completely finished in their development is super important when you're going to start doing roading and those really high pace exercising. It prevents the ability for hip dysplasia and other problems down the road.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The first 18 months should be heavily
especially on a male.
Yeah, that should be a lot of free running that first 18 months. Agreed, Doug?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so here is a really good one from Matt Burns, and we'll let Ronnie, can you hear us?
I think he's like 30 seconds behind.
I guess.
All right, so Nick, you can kick us off. Okay. What's everyone's first bird story?
First bird. Oh, this is a good one for me.
First bird. Oh.
It's not real adventure. I was probably 10 or 11 years old. Whenever I could first pass my gun safety, I want to say I was like 11.
I can hear you, but it's coming in glarby.
Yeah. My first bird I ever shot was a rough grouse that I shot with a break action 20 gauge standing on the side of a logging road in northern Minnesota. Like a lot of kids that grow up in this area shoot their first bird. That was my first grouse. Not over a dog, nothing like that.
So my first grouse, or my first bird, was also a rough grouse. It was done with a lab chow mix.
My first bird story. Can you guys hear me?
Ron's gonna take over.
Ron, we can hear you.
I'll skip.
My first bird story, as I just talked about with Travis Frank on the flush, was I trapped a hen pheasant with a #1 long spring trap in St. Mary's Cemetery in Chicago. So there you go.
You were a trapper first.
I was a trapper first. Yeah. I will say that my first wing shot bird was a.
Wait for it.
Your first wing shot. What?
Oh no! Yeah, you go with that shell mix, baby.
All right,
Tyler, your first bird.
My first bird was a Hungarian.
Well, it was on a fence post.
Was not. I mean, that was my second bird.
I already admitted to shooting my first bird, grouse, standing on the side of the road, Tyler. So feel free to open up.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I will still do it any chance I get. I'll tell you right now. But my first bird was a Hungarian partridge with a bolt action 410.
Nice.
And it was about 3 weeks of the season. I'd probably shot at 100 birds by then, and we had to do a necropsy on it to make sure it was something that I shot actually. But first of many.
Mine was a rough grouse. I think I was 14 years old. I had picked up a Chow Lab mix that I was gonna hellbent on turning into. Chow Lab mix named Abby that I was hellbent on making a hunting dog because I didn't know better. And I shot a rough grouse in the middle of the woods in non-typical grouse cover with my eyes closed, swinging a single shot New England 20 gauge. And damn near, my dad and my mom were both with me, and I think I scared the shit out of both of them because it was
Nice.
just pull it up and shoot with my eyes closed. But that was
I still shoot that way.
Good question. Comes up a lot.
Yep.
I do.
Always.
We know the answer to that.
Always. I don't care what
This is
anybody.
one of them. This is one of them situations. If you have to ask this question, you already know the answer.
Yep.
Yeah. This probably comes down to the fact that I was a grouse hunter before I was a bird dog guy. So, but I will say that when I got my first dog, I was pretty cautious about that, and I let a lot of birds fly that I even probably should have shot at. That like my dog worked the right way and pointed, but I was always nervous about because you hear that so often. Don't shoot bump birds. Don't shoot bump birds. Only shoot birds that are pointed. But that's black and white on paper, but it's not black and white in the woods. So now today, the way I handle it is obviously the goal is to shoot a bird that my dog points because I have an English setter. But if you can pretty easily tell, like if my dog has nothing to do with a bird, he might be off this way and a grouse flushes over here, I'm shooting because, again, I'm a grouse hunter before I'm a bird dog guy.
Yep. Me too.
There's going to be two answers for this. There's going to be the guys that are dog trainers, and there's going to be guys.
You want me to answer this question?
Yes.
Yes, Ron. Go ahead and answer this question.
I do not have a prejudice against Drahthaars.
You said it right. That's good.
I can speak German. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. I can do the whole thing. Anyway, I do not have a prejudice against him. He says they have not been sharp for 15 years. That's possible. I have not been involved with the Drahthaar Club, but I know that the German Wirehair is one of the sharpest dogs out there when it comes to furred game. You know.
Yeah, I feel like that.
I got my buddy Nathan over here on the couch.
Yeah,
giggling
I
his
don't.
ass off.
I have no. I told everybody, if you listen to my podcast, if I had one dog to live with, just me and one dog, it would be a Wirehair, or if you want to speak German all day, it would be a Drahthaar.
My buddy Nate's sitting over here on the couch giggling his ass off because he's.
But I've had a lot of dead animals and almost dead dogs around me, so I've stayed away from them. But I'm sneaking back into them.
Now he's doing it to me, Doug. Now I know what you mean. But Nate actually quit hunting cattails for a while, for a long time, because his dog Mojo would actually
Donald's
start
next
hunting
time for this.
like full-time hunting raccoons. So there's still plenty of sharpness in the draughts.
Yeah.
Everybody, Tyler's froze up.
I'm not froze up. You're froze up.
I don't know.
That guy needs. Now go down there and upgrade his freaking internet, would you?
Damn it! I hate this.
Where the hell?
Yeah, you need to get some better internet, old man.
Go to McDonald's.
Go for it, Nick.
4.5 GWP, Central Minnesota. Any advice running two dogs on grouse? Yeah, I guess those dogs are both kind of the same age, so you don't have the classic. Oh no, he does have a younger dog. Okay, so I haven't been through this yet, but I will be soon. I would be very mindful of wanting to make sure the younger dog gets plenty of time on its own, running and learning to hunt on its own. The way that I'm planning to handle that situation is I'm one of the reasons I'm getting a second dog is so I can rotate them. Like that's my plan. I want to rotate them. I want them to basically limit my older dog's workload, let the younger dog come up. I want them to both be very independent and learn how to hunt grouse on their own. The thing you want to be careful of is making sure that 4-month-old isn't like looking to the older dog to decide everything that it's going to do, following it to a beeper, following it over here, following it there. You want to give the younger dog plenty of opportunity to develop its own hunting instincts. And I'm speaking on basically like what I've heard, read, seen a little bit, but I haven't been through this on my own. So you guys can comment on that too.
And I would say
I think you're 100% right, Nick. Let that young dog develop its own style and range.
Yeah.
some of the
The
best
one thing that I will
I ever got was from Justin.
The one thing I will
It doesn't hurt to run them together, but don't make a habit of it.
Right.
There's a benefit in one area, though, with young dogs. The older dog can help them figure out where the birds are.
You know what's really cool about being here in the truck?
What's that?
Can you hear me?
What's
Yeah.
that?
Oh, we can hear you.
Maybe not.
We can hear you.
Oh, this is so frustrating.
What were you going to say, Tyler? The older dog can pull the younger dog out a
Hey,
little bit.
you know what? I'm going to try something.
Mute them real quick, Doug. So the one thing that an older dog can do for a younger dog is it can teach the younger dog where it's likely to find birds.
Mm-hmm.
So like the older dog just on its own is going to go and kind of run and kind of like hunt the way that it's used to hunting because it knows where birds are supposed to be at.
It's not going to
And
pay
just
attention
by-
to the younger dog.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically just by doing that, it's going to help that young dog smell more birds. Now there's a very finite period where you should do this and when you should just completely stop doing that.
Yeah.
And as soon as that young dog starts just following the older dog, stop it.
Yeah.
Make it go out there and play something.
Yeah. I could absolutely see the benefit of, running them together, seeing what happens, and then I'd be real excited to let the young dog go the next time and see what it's learned, from the older dog.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't have a ton of experience with it. I can tell you that when I run I have a small, really young female that when I run her with my older dog, it's hard to determine whether it's hunting or, more interested in keeping up with just my female. So she kind of goes into wanting to play versus wanting to hunt. But some of the best advice I think came from Justin McGrail on one of Ron's podcasts is that take your best covers or take your best, piece of land, put the young dog in it, give it the most opportunity to get into birds. And then, keep them. And I've been very purposeful about keeping my dog separated for a little while, just because of that. I want my dog to learn how to use its own traits and its own genetics. So every time I seem to put them together, the young dog wants to follow my older dog around. And I really, really want to find out what my young dog has for nose and bird seeking ability. So I've been very purposeful of keeping them separate, but I've also had to force myself, especially last season, dropping her off in the good covers and then using my older dog to go in the covers that I know are a little bit harder to find grouse and a little bit harder to manage.
The short answer is as soon as you see your young dog just following your old dog around, stop doing it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. If they just if they're kind of doing their own thing, then there's a lot of benefit there. But
and you've been through that, Tyler. You've had enough dogs.
It's going to be going through it again
this year.
Very
I'm going to be through that again in the next couple months.
Yeah.
I got puppies right now. So yeah. Ron is killing it, Brent. Yeah, you're not
obviously.
wrong. Ron is just a
Hey, listen.
Is he even with us?
doing this with Nick.
and that's
I drove.
How is he finishing these things?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
I drove my truck all the way around to the back of the house to see if I could get the Wi-Fi from the house. Okay. I don't know if it's going to work. My wife's going to call the cops because she thinks there's a pickup truck in the backyard.
Yeah, she might.
We're going to see what happens. I can hear Tyler now, finally.
Oh, good. Finally.
All right, I saw that.
Can't hear the rest of everybody. Is anybody else talking, Tyler?
Late season grouse. So I will try to channel
Jesus
what I've
Christ, what a
learned
shit
from,
show.
I've certainly hunted plenty of late season grouse. like what Ann Jandernaw says is when grouse try to find their winter cover, the cover that they're going to spend the winter, they're looking for having all of their needs met in one
Oh,
place.
nice.
So
Yeah, there you
basically
go.
what that means is you want stem density, you want your structural diversity, but you're
Hey,
gonna
Doug, how come this worked better when we tested it on Thursday? Nice.
I don't know.
Nice job, Tyler.
Because there's 90 people watching it.
Here, I got a hat. I got a hat here.
Oh, there we go.
Wow. Look at that.
Alan just told me to turn my hat back around.
What did your mother tell you about hats, Ron? I mean,
he is outside though. Remember, he had to go out to the freaking driveway to get it.
yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Still not where the goddamn. Between now and next week, if we try this again, you definitely have to upgrade your internet.
Yeah.
I agree. I
You're gonna
agree.
get banned for an episode if we can't get this fixed.
Hey, Chris B., I've not hunted Alberta, but I'm ready to come to you.
Yeah, let's all go out, meet up with Chris. I
Alberta.
want to go. What Chris B, when is
Now,
the best
I
time
can't
to
even
go
hear
out
Doug
there?
or Nick. It's just me and Tyler again. Like the
How does he come
what
back?
a shit
so fast?
show.
I take him out and put him back in. It's all good.
Oh, okay.
Tyler, is anybody talking?
Well, you, like every time somebody else is talking, it's
Yeah.
just you.
Yeah, but why is it I can hear you? I don't understand this. You're in
I don't
freaking
know.
North Dakota.
Connected cause.
Distance has nothing.
I'm
to do with
farther away than Doug or Nick. I'm the farthest one away. You can hear me.
Yeah, I
Ron,
can hear
are
you.
you
6
are
beers
you
and
using
4
a
cigars.
Motorola
He's at way
Razr
for
for your smartphone?
Look, I had more than 6 beers.
All right, so we got the invite to Alberta. So who's
Are we capping this thing? What? Come on, boys.
No, we
Happy
got
Hills anytime we have you
19
deal with a few
minutes.
months. Oh, somebody's got a
we've
month.
got
Is that Chris?
Alberta.
Is that my girl Chris or my buddy Chris?
That's the guy that from Alberta. that we were
Alberta? He's
talking
from
about.
Alberta. He's gonna take us on a hunt.
Love to.
Nice.
I need to know if it's a large
yeah,
mustard
man.
lander or
Get
a
up there.
small mustard lander.
Shoot me a DM. We're going. All right, can we ask some more questions?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
better see which ones I have here.
Yeah,
to
you
make-
better get into some of yours. I've got.
Chris, is that a kleine Musterlander or große
shoot.
Munderlander?
Mine are gone now from my
Everything
story.
gets better the more
You're
beers you
posting a
drink. It's
screenshot.
hilarious.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, I am.
I can read War and Peace in German right now.
An hour and 42 minutes in, and we finally had the first F-bomb. I
I
am
was
so
wondering.
proud of all 4 of us.
I am. I am too. What's weird is I can hear other people talking, Tyler.
I think Nate's over on the couch watching Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
Also watching us on his phone.
Echoing across
So-
the plains. It's definitely physics.
Tyler's
Nick-
echoing across the place.
Ron's finally
Okay.
passed out.
Hey, Ron, we got a question for you.
Yeah, Nick, Ron can't hear you. So relay it through me. I'll tell Ron.
Cockers versus Boykin Spaniels. Ron will like
Ron.
that one.
Nick says Cockers versus Boykins.
Oh, cockers all day.
Okay.
Cockers all day.
That was from
Yeah,
Bank
best dog ever.
7011.
Best dog ever.
Oh my gosh. We have to figure out a way to upgrade Ron's internet.
I don't know how
because-
this is gonna work.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
We
I
talked
mean,
about
like
that
this
one.
is so much fun, but the fact that he can't hear all of us really sucks.
Oh.
In fact, Ron, Nick and Doug are just talking shit about you. That's all they're doing. Like they are making
Yeah.
faces. Oh, it's terrible.
And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's
Okay.
all
Really
it's,
I got
it's
another.
all
I
in
got
the name
another
of
one.
good humor, but
Relay this one to Ron.
I
Okay, I'm relaying another question, Ron. Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Best party and bird hunting destination from Paul Frischers.
Okay, so Nick says best party and bird hunting destination. Is that what you said, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah, best party and bird hunting destination. Go, Ron.
He's frozen.
He's definitely frozen. Yeah. If Ron weren't frozen, this is Ron speaking now. It's actually at Tyler's house.
I like J Money Honey. Somebody start a GoFundMe for Ron's internet. He's got a Patreon account for that, honestly.
For sure he does.
What the hell happened to Ron?
He's doing his Patreon members a disservice right now.
Where'd Ron go?
No, he's gone now.
He gone.
Like he's
We're starting. Here we go. Someone started to go fun.
Yeah, see, there's Ryan commenting. Yeah, he knows what's up.
right.
Yeah.
Where'd Ron go? He fell off. He's gone.
Tyler's house is one of the best bird hunting destinations / parties. That's for
I'm
sure.
hoping someday that Tyler will invite me out so I can shoot my first sharp tail. Because
Whenever, man. Like we literally moved probably 35 sharptails and like walking distance from my house today.
I'd like to ask everybody who's following along, the movie Tremors, thumbs up or thumbs down? Tyler, don't lead them. Don't lead them. We want to see what they say so we can weed out certain people.
Fair enough.
if
Now,
you're not doing this, you're being weeded out.
I will tell you right now, though, is that there is a sharp drop off. Okay, you can say to 1.
Yeah,
You
I'm just
can
talking
say-
Tremors 1 here. Yep.
Well, no, but 2 is
watching
2
Matrix-
You're right.
Matrix
You're right.
1, Matrix
3
3.
is like
Yep.
after
All right.
that it gets pretty.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
Mike
silly.
Lear, Jax. Yep, a lot of guys are giving big thumbs up. Love it. Yep. Huge.
That movie
huge.
freaking holds up. That's
It's-
all I'm gonna say.
Yep, it's great. Bert is my spirit animal. Love it. There's an actual legitimate question.
All right, here's a legit. Oh, you got me to it.
You should have asked legitimate questions in the beginning there, CRO 770.
Uh,
Colors do you run? Can't decide between the Alpha 100 and 550 plus. Pairing with the watch. I'll tell you what, that is a lot to answer in a quick question. But if you call me right here, I can help you answer that. A lot of it's going to come down to how often are you hunting? How many days in the field are you spending? Where are you hunting? What are you hoping to accomplish with the collar? What type of dogs are you running? There's a lot of questions I think that need to be answered. You know, I'd like to say the Alpha 100 is the kind of the go all be all collars because it does literally everything. But it's not really justifiable to spend $800 for everybody. So it really depends on what, you know, I guess a little bit.
$1,200 in the next couple of weeks. Buy a damn Alpha.
Yeah, come to soggydoggear.com. Buy an Alpha.
Check out Soggy Dog. Go check out Pike Gear. Go check out all these small companies that both represent both my podcast, Ron's podcast, and Nick's podcast, and spend some damn money.
For Jace Broda, we're definitely planning on doing this weekly for the time being, and we're taking requests on who you would like the other guest to be, because unless Ron upgrades his internet, it's not going to be him.
There are a few people that I'd really like to have on.
Yep.
I want Hank Shaw. Bad. Hank is so funny, and he likes to drink. But we have to have Ted Summers on too, for sure.
Yeah, we got to get Ted.
Ted's a must.
The gun dog it yourself guys would be cool, whether it's Nick or
Onyx to show us how to use their app for, you know, scouting and hunting. I think would be really cool. Hey, Ron's back in the
Uh-oh.
Oh my God, Ron's back! There he is.
He's
Thank
back
you.
in the garage.
It won't last long.
Can you hear all of us?
I can, but I'm sure it's going to go away.
Oh,
Then you will go away.
Yeah, I will go away.
So let's talk about Pike Gear real quick. Who wants to share pros and cons?
I'm wearing Pike Gear pants right now.
I wear Pike Gear drifter pants for training retrievers every time I go out. Just saying.
I hear
The
lots of good
Kiowa
things.
pants right now. Super
I,
Super
I wear
flexible,
Pike Gear to
very,
yoga,
very lightweight.
and I wear Pike Gear to yoga, and the chicks dig
I
it.
Hey, that's Tyler's quote.
I started that, you asshole.
Ron, while you were gone, somebody
He froze
said,
up again.
okay. Well, somebody said they wanted to hear the story behind each one of those ribbons on that back wall.
If you ask Utzinger, those are all his daughter's gymnastic ribbons. Those are all. A lot of those are bench ribbons. Oh, is he coming back again? Rusty.
Trying.
I'm trying.
I'm
trying.
Hi, buddy.
I wonder, like,
hold on.
Hank Shaw's a good choice. He's great too. Okay.
Rusty.
Has anyone hunted Oklahoma? I haven't.
I have.
I have
Good
not.
Bob White hunting.
Dan Farley considering a trip there for quail.
Got Rusty hanging out with you.
Yeah, Rusty just got out of the kennel.
Is everyone surviving the quarantine so far? Any harrowing stories, fights over the last toilet paper?
Nope.
No, not yet.
Yeah, nothing too serious yet. I had to go to 3 liquor stores the other day to find Ham's Light, but that's about as harrowing as it
that
gets.
is sacrifice right there.
A sacrifice, and I commend you and salute you.
I had to expose myself 2 additional times.
Rookie.
Let's see. Do you want to hit some of your questions? Because I feel like
I buzzed. We honestly, in one way or another, kind of answered a lot of them. Let's see. Shotguns, shell. Oh, this is a good one. And he was here earlier. Jason Meekoff was in here earlier. He said, "Why can't Ron drink good beer?"
I can. I can. It's just a matter of monetary. I want to maintain my soberness, so I drink Miller Lite.
Yeah.
He needs
That's how I
to
turn that.
Okay, so this is gonna kind of tie in. This is gonna tie in a question from this week and from last week when Ron wasn't with us. But Gundog It Yourself asked this week, and I posted this earlier. If there's only one beer left, what's the betting line looking like for Tyler and Ron?
Ron wins.
That leads into a question that we got last week: is who wins in a Royal Rumble? Which podcast host wins in a Royal Rumble? And I tip my cap to you, Ron, because of the jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You guys
Ron's
wouldn't have a chance with this whole fight.
Yeah. Ron gets the last beer for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We got to go with that. I am the toughest MF in this crowd. and I quit smoking cigarettes, so I can even go longer.
So
He's
you got stamina.
Anxiety going on.
That's what his wife said.
Yeah.
Great.
Boom.
Put a boom. All right. So, who is the best bird hunter in the world, and why is it? And that's Sam the Bandit. Wants to know why.
He sent me a similar question. He nominated
Sam
himself.
did? Sam sent that?
Sam sent it, yeah.
I'm the best bird hunter in the world. I'll just say it.
I'm the 4th best in this group.
In this group?
In this group.
I believe that if I lived in North Dakota, I would be better than Tyler.
Because you're
But I don't live in North Dakota.
Because you're 100 years old.
Oh, there's no law saying you can't move here, old man. Sam.
I told you what that
Get up
was.
here. Let's do
Her
it.
name is Lead On. That's the name of the law.
Ooh. Evan. Endless Hungarian partridge, beautiful sharp-tail hills, and a 10-bird limit on rough grouse.
Oh no! Message me. Message me.
That's crazy.
Hey, Evan, are you talking about in Saskatchewan? Like where at in Saskatchewan? Just curious, because I'm like 50 miles from the Canadian border right now.
You stay
Or
home,
is it the
Tyler.
Canada border? Is it
I'll
the
be right
Canada
back before
border,
we wrap
Ron,
up.
or is it the Canadian border?
It's the Canadian border, Tyler. But it's the
Canada geese.
It's the Canada goose.
Canada Goose.
Canada goose.
We're doing a live from Evan's house, and we're all taking a road trip. It's settled. I've already decided. So shall it be said?
I'm down.
Shall it
Yeah.
be done?
All right. I'm getting my own internet dish out here next week.
So
Got to do something.
here's a question. What are the top 3 favorite Netflix shows or movies?
Oh, Sopranos.
Ooh,
Sopranos, amen.
that's not on Netflix. That's on HBO, isn't it?
HBO, but it was still good.
It don't matter.
Okay.
I'm not paying
On
attention.
Netflix
Tyler.
right
Harry
now.
Potter
On Netflix right now.
through 5.
What's that?
Harry Potter.
Oh,
1 through
yeah.
5.
For sure.
Oh, Harry Potter rocks. I love Harry Potter.
Harry Potter's great. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, I'm a Harry
Right
Potter
now,
nerd.
you need to be watching Tiger King. If you're not watching Tiger King, you are wrong. That is fantastic. It's like the most redneck thing in the whole wide world. I mean, even Fritz Heller from up by you, Doug, was wearing a Tiger shirt today.
I saw it.
You
That
need
was
to watch
Rick.
that.
Yeah, that was Rick, wasn't it?
That was Fritz.
What was it? I thought it was Rick.
Fritz.
I think it was
Pretty
Rick.
sure it was Fritz.
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
It was, I don't know. Rick's watching. Rick, let me know who it was.
You need to watch that.
All right.
You need to watch that. Ozark's pretty good. And then I've been watching a lot of Letterkenny on Hulu is what I've been watching.
I watch a lot of The Good Doctor. I like The Good Doctor.
The Good Doctor. Is that a porn?
It's on ABC.
Tyler,
There's a
you
question
mentioned
for
Ozark.
Tyler.
I'm excited for Ozark.
Ozark just came. The third season just came out today.
Today, yeah. I have to pee.
Yeah, I just did. Bob St. Pierre.
Yeah.
See that
Must be.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just this last week.
He's got his own
Yeah.
podcast on the wing. Yep.
I can't believe somebody didn't know who Bob St. Pierre was. He is the president of Pheasants Forever.
No,
Really good dude.
he's
No,
the
he's not the president.
He's the VP of marketing.
Whatever. He's the president in my book.
Yeah.
Howard
Good
Vincent.
job.
I voted.
Howard Vincent,
Damn it.
CEO.
Howard President. Yeah. There you go. Bob's great though. He's been all over the place, and his podcast is actually pretty. It's very informative.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know what? And that's what's great about all of us doing this. It's like there's no competition here.
No.
No,
You know,
but let's be honest though. Between the three of us, there's never been any competition.
No.
I've been on Nick's podcast 2-3 times. I've been on Ron's podcast 2-3 times, and you guys have both been on my podcast 2-3 times.
Yep.
That hasn't been on anyone.
Now there is competition with other people.
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
Only when they make it so, you know.
There's a guy with a
I
mustache.
have a
we all
little
compete
white
with,
mustache. I have a little white mustache.
and a hat.
Oh, I have a hat. I have a big hat and a little white mustache. God, where's my cowboy hat?
Like a 10-gallon hat.
10 gallons worth of hat, 3 gallons worth of brains, maybe. Oh gosh. Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
we are
boy.
watching the Pine Night for sure.
Let me check here.
I bet these guys are wild at a pint night. Oh, Dave, you don't know. You don't know anything.
We make our own Pine Night every night of the week, man.
My middle name is Pint
Oh.
Night.
Mike Lear, you're in Kenosha. I know where Kenosi's at. You're like 2 hours north of me. Yeah,
Isn't
I know
that
there's
Canada?
rough grouse. Yeah,
Tyler, isn't 2 hours north of you Canada?
an hour north of me is Canada, but Kenosi's the Moose Jaw Provincial Forest, I think is what it's called. Something like that. But yeah, I know there's a lot of rough grouse up there. That's only 2 hours. Well, gentlemen, I don't know what you guys think, but we've gone 2 hours. I
We're
am
right
out
there.
of beer. I need to pee again, and Ron's internet sucks. So should we convene this thing again next week? Same bad time, same bad channel?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to tell you is this. So if you want to, in the comments, because I think the comments will be open for a little while. If there's guests that you think would be super fun to have, because I think we can have up to 6 people in
Absolutely.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Drop them in the comments. If there's topics that you think that would be super cool to talk about or explore on, drop them in the comments. Our goal is to be able to do this more often. We got some really crappy things going on in the world. It's a really weird place that we're living in. So if we can bring a little bit of fun and a little bit of excitement your way, we want to be able to do that. Our goal is to be able to stream this across a couple different platforms. So I know Facebook Live on a couple different channels. I know we're going to try to Tyler's Bird Brews and Buds, and then we're going to try Project Upland. But right now those two channels are going to be down. Facebook Live is not working. So YouTube is really the only place you're going to be able to come and find us right now. So make sure you subscribe so we can notify you when we do have more. Look for links. But your feedback and the more information you give us, the better we can make this for the next time. So we'd highly encourage you to do that.
And please don't just limit it to upland hunters. We decided to name it the Hunters Happy Hour for a reason. Because there's a lot of other people out there in the world that we'd like to talk to. It doesn't have to be. In fact, like if you know like a really super fun fisherman that likes to drink and smoke cigars like Ron or whatever else, let us know. Like I mean, we're down to have anybody on here. Basically, is what we're trying to get to do is it's basically like appointment drinking. Basically, like we want to come on here every week, same time, have you guys tune in. You guys can watch on your smart TVs. We can have a couple drinks. We can answer some questions. We can share some laughs, and we can just kind of get through all this shit together. So,
yep. I will. I'll echo those things that those guys said. Let's definitely give a shout out to Doug at Soggy Dog Gear up in the top left there. He masterminded it after Tyler and I did our Instagram live Sunday. Doug looked into we figured out how to get 4 people and do a bunch of stuff. So thanks, Doug. Go check out Soggy Dog Gear for all your collar and dog accessories needs. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And yeah, let's definitely see you next week.
Yeah, and if you're not already following all 4 of us on social media, I'd highly encourage it because we are going to post updates on all 4 channels. So I would at Soggy Dog Gear, at Bird Booze and Buds podcast, at the Hunting Dog Podcast, and at Project Upland and or at Nick Larson. Look us all up, follow us, stay tuned, and we will talk to you all soon. And Ron, do you want to sign us off with your?
I'm starting to get away from Facebook. I'm starting to get away from Facebook a little bit.
I would love to. I would love to send this on.
All right, Ron.
I would love to send this off. I love you people. I love you guys. You know I love you girls more. But cheers. I just think that if it's not what we're doing here tonight, but it's just bird hunters, I don't care what you say, bird hunters are the most silly, goofy, lovable group of people that you'll ever meet. And just come in every week. We'll figure out a time. We'll figure out a place. And if I ever get internet here, you might even see me the whole time, or I might see my friends. But
we miss you, Ron.
Thank you very much for giving this first time a try, because we weren't sure how it was going to work. Like we did a practice run the other night where we all had a couple of beers and everything seemed to work pretty good. And now it's going to be bumpy for a while. But keep looking.
I couldn't hear Doug. I couldn't hear Nick. I could hear Tyler. I don't know if his voice is. I don't know. I don't know. I love you guys.
But he loves you girls more.
But who do you love more, Nick? Ron?
Girls.
There you go.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night, guys.
I'm taking my shirt off.
There we go.
There's a nipple.